Here we go. Hi everyone, this is a bit weird for me to be doing, but I really feel like I just want to talk to someone at the moment. I feel, very upset and very passionate and quite distraught. And maybe this might help some of you that feel the same way. So yeah, I feel weird. I'm not sure if I want to say my name, but you can call me by my secret internet name, which is Leighton. So hi everyone, I'm Leighton for the purposes of this video. And I live in Australia, and for the past year I have been a student of midwifery. I'm 24 years old, and yeah, I have really struggled the past year. The past couple of years have been very challenging and very full of life and full of death, both physically and emotionally. But yeah, so my decision to start studying midwifery stemmed from this passion that stirred inside me 3 or 4 years ago. That was essentially just me connecting to my menstrual cycle, and I don't know how long to make this video, but essentially in my teenage years I really struggled with my mental health and comparing myself to other people, and my coping mechanisms were self-harm and trying to keep up with the cool kids, and drinking, and and I had an eating disorder. I had bulimia, so that was another coping mechanism that I had. But the year after high school I went through a really dark period, and out of that I somehow found my way to a yoga class, and stopped seeing psychiatrists. That was an old white guy that gave me medication. No offense, old white guys, I'm sure lots of you are great. I know lots of fantastic ones of you, but yeah, it wasn't for me as a young teenage girl struggling with self-image and self-belief. And yoga really, my journey into yoga really connected me to a part of myself that had shown itself sometimes over the years, but like connected me to a really deep part of myself, and also it taught me that I have all the skills I need within myself, and how amazing a yoga community can be, and people that are conscious and open and aware. And I think especially being so young in the yoga community, it was really nice to have the support of lots of older people that were outside my sphere of teenage young adult influence and like social circle, because they had a different perspective, and they were all very encouraging of, conscious growth and self-development. And I guess it was kind of yoga and stuff that led me into connecting with my body, and then as a woman connecting to my menstrual cycle, and just tracking that and seeing how I was going, and then slowly starting to like make these connections between how I was feeling and where I was at in my cycle. And it was like a light went on, like I finally understood that I wasn't crazy, because all throughout my teenage years I would go like 3 weeks, and then I would have another week where I would just crash, and I would say to my psychiatrist, like, I have 3 really good weeks, and then I self-sabotage and everything goes to shit, and I eat and I binge, and I self-harm and I cry and I feel horrendous, and then it's like I have to start all over again. And man, how I wish I could go back and just like shake that girl and be like, I'm saying like a lot, but just I'm not crazy, I'm just a woman. And it was I think it's really sad that some psychologists might not pick that up, that moods fluctuate, and as a woman it's normal and it's sacred, and if you come into a relationship with it in the right way, it can change your entire life, you know? So yeah, I went through uni and I finished my degree and I got a full-time job straight away. I'd done lots of traveling throughout those years. That was really good. And yeah, finished uni, got a job, and then, I don't know, about 8 months into that job, I started to feel really unrestful, and some things were happening between me and my partner that were very new to me and very hard to deal with, but I felt very strong in dealing with them by myself as an adult. Anyway, so it was kind of, yeah, around this point that I started listening to lots of podcasts. One of the colleagues I used to work with, her partner was into podcasts, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'll check out one of the ones that he listens to, and I did, and it just, this was when podcasts weren't really big, but we're definitely getting there. But anyway, I started listening to lots of podcasts, in particular one called the Fertility Friday podcast, and it's still around. It's an amazing podcast. And, you know, I just started to really, really delve into learning about the reproductive system and contraception and, you know, a whole manner of, yeah, different things. And I felt like it was all I ever wanted to talk about. And I was so passionate and intrigued and interested. And in my free time, it was all I would look up and investigate and research, you know, on the internet. And yeah, there was like this seed that was planted, and it was just, yeah, this really hard period of my life. I was like, I'd remembered that there's been a few occasions in the past couple of years where I'd randomly looked up the course of midwifery at uni, but never really seriously contemplated it, but I'd looked at it. And then when I was going through this tough period, I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I would like to give this a go, because I feel like I'm so interested in all this reproductive health, and it feels like I may as well try this and see if it's for me, and if it's not, then I can go and do something else. So I quit my job and I went to travel to Nepal, to the beautiful, 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 beautiful Himalayan mountains. If you've never been to Nepal and you've never been to the Himalaya, I highly recommend it. Those mountains are very special and very beautiful and very powerful, and yeah, I'll always treasure those times I had over there with all those people and all those mountains. But yeah, so came back and I applied for midwifery. I think I'd applied for it before, but I hadn't found out. I got in, and then the next year I started, so that was last year, and I went through, oh, yeah, okay, cup of tea. I started off, and the first week I was investigating if it was perhaps better for me to become a nurse. And I was like, oh, I don't know, but I decided to give midwifery a go. And I had my first placement in a midwifery group practice. So they're kind of attached, well, they are part of the hospital, and they're government funded programs here in Australia. So it's essentially midwifery-led care. You have a caseload midwife, so a midwife that is your midwife. She usually works in a partnership or a triad, but you will have the same midwife throughout your pregnancy journey and birthing and postpartum, and through that program you also have the ability to have a home birth, which, yeah, home birth is a whole other topic. That's one of the only two ways that you can access a home birth with a healthcare provider in Australia, the other one being with an endorsed midwife. Yeah, anyway, so I had that and started going to appointments to prenatals, and started following a couple of women with a few different midwives, and I think it was end of March or April, around Easter, I don't know, but I got to see my first birth, and it was out of this world, very real, very surreal, incredibly powerful, but also I was so anxious going into my first birth, and so incredibly grateful for the woman and her family to have me there as a student. Yeah, it's very interesting. It was very interesting being a first year student, obviously with like no clue what I was doing. Well, some clue, but no real ability to apply clinical skills, and never having attended a birth before. For the first time being thrown into that energy, it was very intense, and I had the shakes and had to go out and eat some energy bars or something. Yeah, but it all went well, and afterwards in like the postnatal appointments, the woman thanked me, and that felt really special to be thanked for being there and supporting in whatever way I could. So that was really nice. Yeah, and in the middle of the year I got to attend another birth where I actually got to catch my first baby, first and only baby, in partnership with the midwife and the husband, and that was really beautiful. I feel like I probably shouldn't say too much, but yeah, it was beautiful. And also, yeah, I'd had a lot of appointments with that woman, so it was really nice to be there for her birth, because I didn't think I was going to be, and having had that relationship and rapport build over the course of the year, it was really special to be there. So I really enjoyed that, but I was, you know, going through some serious doubts at that point of whether to continue. So it was the end of my first semester. And yeah, just really struggling with, you know, the monetary and financial aspect of being a student and not being on Centrelink allowance or anything, just trying to get through on casual work and my savings, and the feelings that brings up, you know, because finances are so, like, you know, in yoga, like about your root chakra and safety and feeling stable, and I just didn't have that, and it was, yeah, very draining for me, and it still is. But yeah, I talked to a couple of my lecturers that I had built a good rapport with, and everyone was very encouraging of me to give it a full go for the full year and really allow that to sink in and give it another go. So I did. I decided I'd give it another 6 months, and during that time I attended a labour, but I wasn't present for the birth, and yeah, had a few more placements in the hospital. And my last placement in the hospital I really surprisingly enjoyed. So it was a ward that I'd worked on before, and I felt like, oh, I've actually gained some skills, and I don't feel as hopeless as I did last time I was here. I feel like I have some ability to be a little bit independent and to sit with these women in the way that I want and talk with them how I want. And yeah, just lots of exposure to lots of different families and lots of different dynamics, and yeah, lots of beautiful, beautiful babies and beautiful, beautiful mothers, and some beautiful midwives as well. But yeah, I got to the end of that, and I was still like, you know what, I'm just going to give myself Christmas and New Year's to think about this. And I really thought that I was not going to continue. I was going to withdraw, because there's just like, it feels like at 24 it's really hard to be a student again, because I'm living with my partner out of home, want to save money to, you know, buy a dog, buy a house, save up, you know, like I want to be able to live my life, and being a student and working casually is just like really draining, because I feel like I have no real purpose or contribution, and I feel like that's very important to me, is to feel like my time is worthwhile and like I'm valued, or like I'm giving, like I feel like I need to be able to know that I'm giving something, that I'm doing something good in the world, and I haven't felt like that. And still being uncertain of it, I felt like, you know, if this July comes around, I'm still not sure of it, you know, and give it another 6 months, it's going to be the same, like, and to sacrifice these years of my life to do this degree just feels really confining. Yeah, and so I don't know, I made the decision to go back and apply to get, you know, study allowance and give it another go, and it made the most sense logically for me to go back and get this out of the way before everything else in my life happens, and get the training done, and then I don't have to work in a hospital if I don't want to. I can go into education, yada 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 yada. And so I started telling everybody that I was going back, and it just felt wrong. It felt like I was so in my head and not listening to my heart, and my heart was only saying one thing. And yeah, so it was really hard to be in my body, and it's been really hard to be in my body for a few years. So yeah, I shunned yoga a bit over the last couple of years, but now coming back into a relationship with my body, and in particular my womb, has really helped. But it's also horrifying and terrible and brings up lots and lots of different emotional aspects for me in my life. And as a young woman, it's really hard to be in this world sometimes, you know, like there's so much pressure to succeed and get a career. And I feel like because I'm 24, I've got a degree already, I'm going back, you know, I'm still a student. I see my friends having full-time jobs, and some of them are buying houses, and some of them have gotten engaged, and some are having babies. And it's just like, yeah, trying to pull it back to not compare my journey to other people's, but it is very, very difficult. I made the choice to walk away from midwifery, and so since then I felt a lot freer and a lot lighter, and I've been applying to jobs, and I've got study allowance if I need it. But I just had a conversation with my father on the phone. I don't want to get too deep, but I feel like I'm in too deep anyway. But yeah, applying for jobs this week's been, I don't know, it's made me quite upset, because I feel like the skills that I have, I feel like all I can get is a job in administration. And it's not to say that a career in administration is not wrong, but I just feel like I'm still so passionate about birthing and babies and pregnancy and, you know, maternity care, like that it feels like a shame to not work in it. So, you know, I've played with the idea of becoming a doula or prenatal yoga to help women get into their bodies before pregnancy and birth, because that's my experience. Is my journey has all been about getting into my body and connecting with my womb and my heart and living from it. But now I'm just not sure, because I've been applying to jobs, but it feels like I'm settling, and it feels like, I'm not sure how to end this, because I feel like there's some parts of my story that I want to keep sacred to me. But just, I don't know, opening up the conversation about how hard it is to go and study when you're a bit older, even though I'm not very old. But, you know, like when you are living out of home and you do want to save for a future with your family, and, you know, like especially the sacrifices of training in healthcare and training in midwifery, where you have to follow women throughout their pregnancies and drop everything, be on call and not get reimbursed for it. And also to be in a system that can at times be so distrustful of women. It's really heartbreaking. I really struggle with that, because I came to midwifery believing in women and connecting with myself and the intuition and amazing intelligence of my body, to go into situations where it's so managed when perhaps it doesn't need to be. And I find it hard to say that, because, you know, there are so many situations where things can be improved with intervention. However, I feel like there are lots of circumstances where it's better left be. And it's hard to say that because I feel like I'm not a midwife, I'm not a healthcare provider. You know, it's hard sometimes to feel connected to my intuition and to myself and not be belittled for being a first year student, or now second year, who knows nothing per se, you know? Like, I feel it really hard to question things I'm curious about because I have a fear almost of being like scolded or looked down upon. Yeah. So so now I'm just not really sure what I'm gonna do. There's one desire I have in my heart that I thought I was gonna start to walk towards instead of midwifery. But now I feel like, honestly, like, yeah, it's a really hard time to be studying midwifery, but I feel like it's the only thing that makes sense. Like, I want to help so badly, and I want home birth to continue in Australia, and I want women to reconnect to their bodies and understand how amazing they are. And I want women to have access to contraception, and not just in terms of pills, but to like actual knowing what contraception does to their bodies, and having healthcare providers that care and that research and that listen, because I feel like, yeah, I just want to listen to women, and I feel like we all have very important stories to tell, and we're all very smart and wise, but sometimes we don't allow ourselves to think it, and we give our power away to other people and think that they're more wise and smart than us. But yeah, especially in regards to pregnancy and birthing, I think, you know, that mother's intuition is a very real thing. And yeah, I don't know how to proceed, really. But if you are a student midwife in Australia or somewhere around the world, reach out, leave a comment, or tell a story. If you've been through studying when you're a bit older as a mature age student, yeah, did you struggle, or what are your challenges with that? How do you know what the right sacrifice to make is, and is it possible to live from your heart and your logical mind at the same time? Anyway, if you've gotten to the end of this, thank you for listening. I don't think it's shown my face just because I feel a bit weird about that, but if you know me, then you know me. But yeah, I'm happy to chat and have a talk. Yeah, anyways, that is it from me. I might go for a walk now. It's really beautiful outside. But I feel a bit better. Alright, signing off. See you later.